Rob and Chris, we have a fascinating race for Best Drama Actress here because the one that we're all predicting will win, Julianna Margulies for The Good Wife, is not necessarily the nominee here who has the strongest episode submission for Emmy judges. Normally, we always go for that, but we're not doing it this time. Rob, explain.
Well, Tom, as you said, it's very tough. Julianna Margulies won the SAG, she won the Globe, she has all the heat. She's in the drama series nominee, The Good Wife, and everyone's been talking about her, right? And so she really has to start off as the front runner in this category, and unless she had a terrible episode, she's going to stay at number one. And her episode is okay. Like, you know, she does a few really interesting things. She gets to cry for a bit, and you know, she has a few really good scenes with some of her co-workers in the office. But there's no fireworks. There's not enough. Julianna, she's a very subtle actor. People criticise her for that. I think it's a good thing. You don't have to, as I always say, throw things across the room to show your dramatic skill. But when you watch Kyra Sedgwick in her episode, and let's remember, she's been nominated quite a few times now and she hasn't won yet. And when you watch her episode, I watched it with my wife, and she really responded to it just as I did. I always use her as like a placebo. She cries, she's emotional, there's fireworks, and, you know, she has great writing to support her. And I think, look, if the voters are not thinking about what is the hot show and who is the hot actress in the hot show, then Kyra Sedgwick might finally get her turn because she's fantastic. I think it's a race between those two.
Chris, what do you think?
It's Kyra's best episode she's ever submitted, I think, and it really wraps you up from the first moment of that episode. You can't wait to find out what happens next. And there's a subplot in that her niece, played by her real life daughter, Kevin Bacon's real life daughter, is also involved in this case, not in a bad way, but she just happened to be with her when things started happening and gets to talk to the victim who's in the hospital. So you get a sort of a family context with the arguments between her and her niece, as well as the case that's going on. It really, really is gripping. I think in another year she might have won this, and she still could, but like Rob said, Julianna Margulies, everything is going her way right now. If she had only submitted, say, the pilot, I think she would easily have it wrapped up. The one she submitted is good, but you know, it's going to be a lot closer. She made it a lot closer than she really should have with Kyra right on her heels.
But anybody who watches us regularly, year to year, make these predictions and often be right with our long shot calls like Bryan Cranston and Breaking Bad, has every right to criticize all three of us today for what the reverse logic we're using to try to justify our Julianna Margulies predictions. And all three of us agree she's going to win. But the reason Bryan Cranston has won in the past was the strength of the episode submission, even though there weren't a lot of viewers of his TV show, even though there was absolutely very little buzz going that way until he started winning that first and then his second. So to apply this whole theory of the judging panels pick the episode that's strongest, we have to admit a little bit of hypocrisy on our own part that we're not saying Kyra. Right, Rob?
That's right, Tom, and that's why we've been agonising over this, and we've been agonising over the actors as well, because she doesn't give the best performance, and really what we should be doing is saying, well, then she's not in the first place, and she shouldn't be, because her episode is one of the weakest episodes of the whole first season of The Good Wife. I can't believe she picked it. She should have picked the pilot. But if she's not announced as the winner of that category, there will be gasps in the audience because everyone expects her to be the winner. It is the big award for that show that show will probably win next weekend. And let's just be fair here. She's not terrible in the episode. By no stretch of the imagination is she hopeless or terrible. She's okay, but again, there's just no fireworks there. And when you compare it to Kyra Sedgwick, there is a definite difference there. And if you want to talk about the episode, then Kyra deserves to win it. And it would be a great shock and surprise, but perhaps not to us three, because, you know, we know that, you know, the voters do like to reward the episode. That's generally how it works.
And Julianna does have
one. I like to support what we're saying here a little bit too. Just 2 years ago, Glenn Close was in Julianna's situation right now. Her show gets nominated for drama series. It's got all the buzz. She submitted her pilot, which everybody thought she would, but A lot of people don't remember this. Glenn Close's pilot episode of Damages, she wasn't even featured nearly as much as Rose Byrne was, and she may have had one scene in that whole episode that you would call sort of Emmy worthy, but she got in because she's Glenn Close. She won because she's Glenn Close, and all these other reasons we're talking about. We all thought there were a couple of other better episodes that year.
Yeah, but the one scene that Glenn Close had that won it for her, the big impact scene, I think we could say in our defense here that Julianna does have in her submission, and it's near the end of that episode when her husband she has to cope with the infidelity charges against her husband, and they have a moment together and a kiss that is very powerful, and it's that impact scene that sets you up at the end to go away with a wow. So if it just comes just down to that, she has the tearful scene, she has the impact only in very small amounts. Now, Rob, what about all these other people? What about Glenn Close? Why isn't she in the running now? What's going on?
Well, look, Glenn Close picked the premiere episode of the third season of Damages, and she should have picked a different one. Let's be clear about that. She has a few good scenes, a really good scene with Lily Tomlin, and a good scene in her flash forward where, in the car accident. But apart from that, I think she's really more reactionary. She doesn't do anything. She doesn't do the usual Glenn Close, gnawing on the scenery type deal. And so I have her in third place because she's just Glenn Close. That's the only reason. Damages is not as hot as it used to be. People don't seem to love it as much as they used to. It's not even a drama series nominee. And so she's in third because she's Glenn Close. The other ones are not Glenn Close, so they don't even have that going for them. People like January Jones, I really was expecting to put higher because when I first watched that episode, I was really impressed with her because usually, as far as I'm concerned, she doesn't do that much. And when I watched it again and I saw her interplay with John Hamm, it was all about John Hamm. He does a much better job at the emotion, whereas January Jones was like really just a plank of wood as far as I'm concerned. So she's down the bottom. Then you've got Mariska Hargitay, who shouldn't have been nominated, and she's okay, but there's nothing special there. And then we have another one, and I just can't even remember who that is. Chris,
Connie Britton.
Connie Britton. Oh, Connie Britton, of course, sorry. I should have remembered that because I absolutely adore her, and she's brilliant, fantastic, natural actor, beautiful scenes with her on-screen husband, but again, not much impact, not much screen time. And when you're looking at someone like Kyra Sedgwick and the favourite, Julianna Margulies, the rest of them should just be happy to wear a nice dress, go to the show, watch the show, go and have a few drinks, go home, and be happy with the nomination, and that's enough.
Chris, do any of these other gals have a chance?
I don't think so. I agree with Rob. In fact, we agree so much on this category, it kind of scares me. Maybe we've overlooked something, but I agree. Glenn Close is in third, mainly because she's won 2 in a row. The other ladies, they've all, everybody wanted January Jones to submit this episode. It was her best work of the season. If there's just a Mad Men glut of Emmys next Sunday night, she could get swept along in there. I wouldn't be shocked at that. But like Rob said, I think it's more John Hamm's work that when you're watching both of them on screen at the same time, you're generally looking at him and what's going on in his face and what's going on in his reactions. Kind of the way she is. She's kind of got that. She knew what she was about to do to him, spilling out all of his secrets. So it is a reactionary performance. She wants to see what he's going to say, what he's going to do. So, and I hope she enjoys this nomination because based on the Mad Men season so far,
that's right.
She's been in maybe 10 minutes of the entire first 4 episodes. So, I don't know what they've got planned for the rest of this season for her, but, hopefully, she's got some good work ahead.
Yeah, best guest actress in a drama series.
Best cameo.